Modern poetry. The poems I chose: I Too by Langston Hughes, Penelope by Dorothy Parker, and If We Must Die by Claude McKay. Langston Hughes was born in Joplin, Missouri to a family of abolitionists. He was constantly moving as a child for his mother's work. He started writing poetry in high school and went to live in Harlem as he had always wanted. He also wrote fiction, dramas, and songs. Vocabulary. Ashamed, meaning embarrassed or guilty because of one's actions, characteristics, or associations. Literary devices. I too am America. This is a metaphor used to show his confidence in his own self-worth, despite what others may say or do to him. Analysis. The poem I Too by Langston Hughes is about his ambition to be on equal grounds with white men in the near future. It focuses on his belief, confidence in self-worth, and determination. The first half of the poem starts off with a somewhat sad tone, as it describes how he is mistreated on a regular basis, but as it progresses, it is clear that he loves who he is, and he is sure that others will love him as well someday. Tone. Somber yet hopeful. The poem is written with a sad tone in the beginning, but becomes more hopeful towards the end when he writes, "When company comes, nobody'll dare say to me, 'Eat in the kitchen then.'" Theme. Overthrowing inequality. This is because he is so confident during the second half of the poem about being treated equally. Penelope by Dorothy Parker. Dorothy was a writer, editor, and critic. She wrote stories, poems, plays, screenplays, and reviews. Dorothy was also the co-founder of the Algonquin Round Table. She willed most of her money to Martin Luther King Jr. Vocabulary. Linen, meaning cloth woven from flax. Literary devices. Imagery and personification. In the pathway of the sun, in the footsteps of the breeze. The effect of imagery in this poem, and this quote, is that it creates a more surreal reading environment for readers with an imagination. The second half of the sentence is personification because it is saying that the breeze has the human quality of walking. Analysis. Penelope is about the wife of Ulysses. Ulysses had left on adventures overseas while she had stayed behind. She remains at home, occupying herself with daily chores and activities as she awaits his return. Though she may be lonely, she says she and those around them will be proud of him. Tone. Lonely. I shall sit at home and rock. The tone of this poem is quite lonely, as she wrote here that she will simply sit at home and wait, alone. Theme. Love. The theme of this poem is love, because despite being lonely by herself, she still remains as she is, and busies herself with simple household activities so that she may wait for Ulysses to come back. If We Must Die by Claude McKay. Claude McKay grew up in Jamaica in the late 1800s and early 1900s. He was inspired by English writers such as William Shakespeare and Charles Dickens. He went to America, but had lived in Europe and Africa during the Harlem Renaissance. This poem inspired African Americans and gave them a new sense of pride. Vocabulary. Inglorious, meaning shameful or disgraceful. Constrained, meaning forced. Literary devices. Amplification. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot. This is amplification because the first half of the sentence is amplified and elaborated on by the second, descriptive half being added. Analysis. This poem by Claude McKay is short yet extremely powerful in meaning. The entirety of the poem focuses on reinforcing the concept of not submitting to the abusive treatment of their oppressors. He is determined to not die in vain and calls upon his kinsmen to take up the same goal and fight back. Tone. Courageous. The tone is very courageous because he knows full well the dangerous situation they are in, yet he is intent on fighting back like a man. Theme. Strength and spirit. This poem's theme is the strength of one's spirit and will. This factor is very influential on the reader because while the body can be broken, the spirit and will are the one things you can't break in a person. Visual representations. Works cited.